welcome to our news bulletin coming to you live from Bishop Navy Media Center. And today you're with me, Bridget Mwanoka. The top stories. Pope Francis concerned about deadly crashes in South Sudan. CSOs appeal for increase in healthy funding. Macra challenges journalists to avoid spreading fake news as it is a threat to democracy. And in sports, Minister of Sports pledges commitment towards grooming athletes for international competition. These are some of the stories we have today. Do stay with us. The Holy Father, Pope Francis, has expressed concern about recent deadly crashes in the northern part of South Sudan. At the end of his Sunday Angelus address, the Pope said he is following with sorrow and concern the news from South Sudan about the violent crashes of the past few days. He then asked the faithful to join him in praying to the Lord for peace and national reconciliation so that the attack may cease and that civilians may always be respected. Tanduwe Mzumara reading a Vatican News report.
The latest outbreak of violence in South Sudan is a continuation of fighting that began in August in a village in Upper Nile, and recent reports estimate that more than 9,000 people have fled the recent violence. The spiraling violence continues to inflict human misery across the region. The UN's refugee agency, UNHCR, says at least 20,000 people have fled since August, including several thousands over the border. Since last month, around 9,000 people, mostly women and children, have been displaced after battles between armed factions erupted in Upper Nile's Fashoda County. Reporting on the dire situation, the United Nations said some people were forced to hide in marshes and bushes to avoid danger. The Holy Father is scheduled to travel to South Sudan's capital Juba early February next year. During his visit, he will, among other things, meet top cavalry officials and preside over masses.
Mental health expert Moses Mocha has hailed the government's decision on introduction of toll-free numbers for people who are depressed or stressed out to be helped. Speaking with Luntha television, Mocha said it is a wise decision but suggested that government must also put into consideration those people who have no access to cell phones, especially in rural areas, so that they can also be using the helplines. He also said media has a crucial role to play in providing more relevant information on healthy mental issues. He explains.
Yes, this is a welcome development, and I think it's high time that we have done this, because in other countries they use this system whereby people who are depressed or stressed out, they call the hotline whereby they meet the experts who can assist them. This is a very good development, but the issue is now many people do not have telephone sets. I know this is a free toll-free number, but then the thing is how many people have the telephones. So if there was a provision whereby in the communities that they were provided with handsets for phone handsets, whereby they can access these sections, that's a very good welcome idea. And in other countries, there's been used and it has been proven, effective.
The Episcopal Conference of Malawi, ECM, has challenged the state president and his government to live up to the role of fighting corruption. According to a statement the Catholic bishops released today in reference to the circumstances surrounding the arrest, torture and release without charge of the ACB Director General Martha Jizuma, it is sad that government is still silent on the matter. In an interview with Luntha television, ECM Secretary General Father Alfred Jaima said government should demonstrate the importance of being led by the spirit of wisdom and integrity in the fight against corruption. Father Jaima explains.
I think we are talking about security agents like Malay Police Service that were involved. So if somebody somewhere was able to command them to carry out an event or to carry out an arrest that those that are in charge were not aware of, I think it instills a lot of fear in Malawians. And so that's why the bishops in their press statement have indicated that the government and indeed the head of state must be on top of things.
Civil society organizations in the country under the banner of Universal Healthy Coverage Coalition have called for an increase in budget allocation to healthy, in particular public hospitals in rural areas. The coalition's chairperson, Georgie Jobe, made the remarks on the sidelines of a National Universal Coverage Day, UNC Day, event which was held at Kojolida Hospital Ground in Mchinji District. The day falls on December 12th annually, and it marks the day to call on leaders to make smarter investments and accelerate efforts towards healthy for all. Joby explains.
We have received some data from WHO. The data shows that efforts are there in different indicators, on different indicators, but we have not yet reached 100%, because when we are looking at the universal health coverage, we are talking about the issues of access, issues of equity, quality. So we can say efforts, we see the efforts, but we need to increase funding towards the health sector. At the moment, as the civil society organizations, we have been talking about the Abuja Declaration, that we need to reach 15% Abuja, and we should also address the understaffing in human resources for health, and increasing the stocking of medicines and medical supplies.
The indoor residual spraying program has come to an end in Balaka district, with World Vision International confirming an achievement of 94% coverage. The activity has been running for 36 days with a process of spraying households with the aim of killing Anopheles mosquito to reduce malaria prevalence. Members of a Healthy and Environmental Committee at Parliament attended the closing ceremony to assess if the work has really been done in all communities. Rashida Matandika reports from Balaka.
The 36 days of spraying houses to prevent and reduce malaria in Balaka district has ended. The program has achieved 94% coverage, and although there were some challenges in terms of fuel shortage and some refusal, the work has been done. After civil society organizations in Healthy visited the district for assessment, the last team to pay the communities a visit were members of Healthy and Environment Committee at Parliament, led by the chairperson, Dr. Matthews Ngwale. After visiting Ndala site in the area of Senior Chief Amidu, the committee had an engagement meeting with the community where they agreed and testified that IRS has paid off well. Speaking to the media after the visit, Dr. Matthews Ngwale said they will now lobby for the program to be implemented by government, since the pilot phase has been done by donors.
As you may be aware, this is donor funded. So what we can do is for us to encourage the government, having seen this, that the government should now put in the budget, the national budget, at least budget lines to do with the spraying households in different areas of Malawi, so that the reduction of malaria should go as far as possible. World Vision and Global Fund have done it here, and it's a success story. But government must show commitment. We cannot just depend on donors to give us money to do things for the lives of our people. We must, as a country, put it, never mind how little it is, we must put it in the budget to fight malaria through what World Vision and Global Fund has done here. It's a very, very good example. It's a question now of just carrying over what has happened here to other places in Malawi.
In his remarks, the Chief of Party for Global Fund Grants, Dr. Biswick Mwale, said the whole essence of inviting the committee was to have them appreciate the activity so that they can recommend it to the August House and have the program scaled up to other districts.
The whole issue is to make sure that we demonstrate impact, and indeed we have demonstrated impact. Communities, health or hospitals within the impact districts have shown us that the number of cases of malaria has drastically declined. The number of people that are dying, particularly children of malaria, has declined. And we have seen that most wards in the hospitals are not congested.
One phase now remains in 2023, but the 85% target that was planned has been achieved with extra percentages in all the targeted districts of Balaka, Mangochi, and Nkatabe. The program is being implemented by World Vision International with support from Global Fund. For Luntha TV in Balaka.
From Bishop Navy Media Center in Area 2, Lilongwe. And today you're with me, Bridget Manoga. Before we proceed, another look at the top stories. Pope Francis concerned about deadly crashes in South Sudan. Magra challenges journalists to avoid spreading fake news as it is a threat to democracy. And in sports, Minister of Sports pledges commitment towards grooming athletes for international competition. Proceeding with our news, the Finance Minister, Honorable Sosteni Gwengwe, has commended members of Parliament for showing keen interest in the process of adjusting the budget allocation towards different ministries and departments. According to Gwengwe, the parliamentarians did not just agree to the adjustments, but rather asked further clarification on each vote, a thing that he says shows how much they were all interested and wanted to understand the matter. He further called on the responsible officers to make good use of the funds and should not go beyond what has been allocated to them. Sosteni Gwengwe explains.
Well, I think just to thank the honorable colleagues from both sides that they looked at the figures, and most of you were around, you would see that they were really asking questions pretty much on every single vote. And I think that was brilliant, because we need robust oversight from members of parliament to really check on how the money or the budget is being executed. So I'm happy that we can now legally spend the monies that Parliament has approved, and we ask the MDAs to spend within their limits, because that is very, very important, that they don't go beyond what is allotted to them, what Parliament has appropriated to them, because this creates a lot of problems, and we need to make sure that that financial discipline is instilled in all controlling officers, that they only spend what Parliament has appropriated to them.
The budget has since been increased with 12 billion kwacha to 2.85 trillion kwacha. But speaking on the same, chairperson for the Budget and Finance Committee of Parliament, Gladys Ganda, said they hope that the funds are going to be used to good use in the different MDAs. Ganda explains.
What do we make out of whatever has been agreed upon by the House?
Indeed, Parliament this evening passed the budget, which has been adjusted by over 10 billion budget, which is good news as far as I'm concerned. And we just hope that the various ministries will put to good use the funding that has been allocated to the various votes. But you may wish to note that there are certain instances whereby you could notice that planning is probably poor, in the sense that you could come with an adjustment only to cater for salaries. As budget and finance, we don't believe that you can just wake up one day and think of employing people. That should have been done earlier on. I'll give examples. For instance, the My Police Service, you have an increase of about 8 billion kwacha, and you also have Ministry of Forestry and Natural Resources, where there is a 2 billion kwacha increase on salaries itself. So apart from the normal adjustment that happened in terms of the devaluation or probably in terms of increase of salaries, but the people are being employed, which the government had never planned in the first place. So for me personally, I think we need to work on the planning side from the government point of view. In terms of votes that have been reduced, you might be aware that it's a budget that we are implementing cost-cutting measures and also some austerity measures. Therefore, there's need for the Ministry of Finance to do those cuts. But as well as the essential services are not affected, then all members are comfortable with that. Moving forward, we hope that the Budget and Finance Committee and also the other committees like Public Accounts Committee will do its rightful role to make sure that those funds are put to good use and there is no abuse in terms of the resources. Because the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Therefore, we are going to play our oversight role to make sure that we monitor the funding that has been given to various ministries.
To ensure that information being shared is correct and verified for public consumption. MACRA Director General Dawood Suleimani said that there is need to raise awareness among all people who use media agents on how to disseminate right information to avoid hindering other people's rights. He said this area today at the start of a 3-day media workshop that they have organized to sensitize the media practitioners on implication of fake news. Bernard Mwanza was there and now he reports.
The workshop, which is being held under the theme Fake News Impact and Implications, is part of MACRA awareness campaigns on how to counter fake news and misinformation and has attracted participants from different media institutions in the country. In his remarks at the opening ceremony earlier today, MACRA Director General Dawood Suleiman emphasized that there is a need for a collaboration among all stakeholders in the media industry to combat the spread of fake news by agreeing the state of Malawi digital economy that anyone wants.
The next big thing that is going to happen to Malawi is the growth of this digital economy. So the very basic foundation that's going to build that economy is a well-informed nation, a nation that is able to know what is good data, what is bad information, what is good information, and therefore they can make decisions.
Concurring with Suleiman, MACRA board chairperson Dr. Stanley Kaira hinted that fake news stands as a threat to democracy and that media houses have a responsibility to ensure that news shared is true to avoid manipulating the country's democracy.
This is not censorship. This is about reporting truth. Content must say what it is, not what it ought to be. That's why we are saying, it's our country. Let's all make sure that we are reporting truthfully and the content is indeed saying what has happened.
Ruben Banda, who works for Nkoma FM radio of the CCAP Nkoma Synod, is part of the workshop.
Well, first of all, as a journalist, we are taught to hear the views of all sides in a story. So, as a journalist, I will make sure that after I've gotten a tip or I've gotten a news tip, I will make sure that I've involved all the sides that are involved in the story.
Meanwhile, MACRA says by the end of the workshop, it hopes to see better content about Malawi, its economy, and its people as it works with all media people to build a nation that is digitally aware and capable of producing good content for public consumption. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, I am Bernard Mwanza.
The Minister of Youth and Sports, Honorable Richard Jimwendo Banda, has pledged his commitment towards developing athletes and grooming them to suitably stand in international competitions. The minister said this yesterday evening after Zambia humbled South Africa with 1-0 in the finals of Total Energies Under-17 qualifiers for Algeria in the 10th edition of Region 5 Youth Games that were hosted in the country. According to the minister, the Games provided a platform for Malawi and the Ministry of Sports to appreciate gaps that sports development is facing, hence a need to act, for it has been projected that athletes and there is potential of growing various social sectors through sports. Minister of Youth and Sports explains.
We are doing much better. If you saw the football, the volleyball, the basketball, the netball, maybe apart from gymnastics, but we're doing great. I can see a very good future for these young people. I think what we need to do is to build the teams, to build the athletes, to make sure that there's so much competition. We're exposing them to so many competitions. At the same time, we're supporting them. So I can appeal more to companies. You can see that sports is no longer what people used to take it as a hobby. Sports is a career. Sports is something that we can celebrate, can unite countries, can boom the economies, can bring opportunities, can create, indeed, life-lasting opportunities for these young people.
Still on sports, African Union Sports Council, AUSC, has described the Region 5 Youth Games 10th edition a success, looking at how the games were conducted within the specific period of time. According to the Chief Executive Officer of AUSC, who is also the chairperson for Regional Organization Committee, ROC of Region 5 Youth Games, Stanley Muroya, the Games have not only developed sports infrastructure in the country, but has further exposed Malawi to opportunities of hosting big events. Arinafe Piri reports.
The Regional Organizing Committee Chairperson Stanley Mutoya said analyzing the progress of games from the day they commenced on the 28th of November to the 11th of December, African Union Sports Council, AUSC, is satisfied with the outcomes, hence describing this as the best ever edition of Region 5 Youth Games since they started in 2004. According to Mutoya, the Games have brought with them a number of social benefits, including promoting Malawi's tourism, where a number of hotels were booked for delegates, fighting climate change through the tree planting exercise they had on the 2nd of December, rehabilitation of some school institutions which were hosting athletes, among others. ROC chairperson also commended the health squad during the games for promoting hygiene and sanitation, despite hosting these games at a time Malawi is battling with cholera. In his remarks, chairperson for Local Organizing Committee, LOC Dennis Mombera, said the games have supported the Malawi 2063 vision through its enablers of environmental sustainability and economic infrastructure. According to Mombera, it is now evident that Malawi starts to give all sport codes the attention they deserve, hence asking government to invest in sports development.
What we can ask the government of Malawi is that they must now focus on other sport codes so that we develop them. When you look at the Malawi Agenda 2063, it talks about development of sports. And when we say development of sports, we're not only looking at 2 or 3 sport disciplines. We're looking at all the sport disciplines. They must be given the necessary attention so that we can uplift the athletes in those other sport disciplines.
As African Union Sports Council, following a memorandum of understanding they signed with African Zone 6 Regional Anti-Doping Organization RADO, athletes and officials have benefited from the anti-doping education, hence promoting fair play. Further, AUSC says the games have helped in blending different cultures to be one as Africans, hence strengthening regional integration. According to ROC chairperson Stanley Mutoya, the games have left a legacy and also helped entrepreneurs and small businesses to find a living through sales of their products and services in sporting sites. And realizing that duration of these games fell within the 16 days activism against gender-based violence GBV campaign period, AUSC took the opportunity to teach athletes and officials on how they can safeguard themselves and also respecting others, for there is zero tolerance of non-accidental abuses in sports. Reporting for Luntha News, this is Alinafe Perry.
That sports report concludes our news bulletin today, but before we go, let's look at the top stories once more. Pope Francis concerned about deadly crashes in South Sudan. CSOs appeal for increase in healthy funding. Macra challenges journalists to avoid spreading fake news as it is a threat to democracy. And in sports, Minister of Sports pledges commitment towards grooming athletes for international competition. That's all I had for you, but a quick reminder, as the Ministry of Health has announced that we are registering an increase of cholera cases in this capital city and the entire country. We are advised to take the cholera vaccine to advance our chances of not getting the disease. Thank you for watching. This has been Bridget Manoka. Stay blessed.